Everybody. Today is May 14th, Thursday, and I would like to call to order the Town of Cohasset Conservation Commission meeting. This is a virtual meeting. We are doing this meeting by Zoom. It is 7 o'clock, and since we're doing it by Zoom, this is all being done remotely. We have a full quorum, at least a quorum voting members here. I'm going to go around, so if everyone could just unmute themselves really quickly here. I'm first going to go around. I just want you to say aye so that we know that you are here and present. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 of our 7 voting members, and we have 1 associate member, Kathleen Berrigan. So I'm going to go around to our voting members first, and if you just say your name and aye, or present after I say your name. James Roseback?
Aye.
Marianne Weatherald?
Aye.
Eric Eisenhower?
Aye.
Chris McFarland?
Aye.
Alex Cornes?
Aye.
And we have 1 absent member, Tricia Grady, and Kathy Berrigan, our associate member, non-voting position.
Present.
Great. Chris, you're on here twice, so I assume you're going through the phone again, although by computer?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, no worries at all. I can hear you totally fine. All right, and our conservation agent, Jeffrey Summers, is also on the phone, as well as our conservation administrator, Angela Gizo. And Jen Oram is taking notes not taking notes, but is here for some support should we need some as well. All right, our first item of business this evening is approval of minutes for January 23rd and March 12th. I didn't have any comments to those minutes, so at this point I will make a motion. Does anybody have any comments to the minutes of January 23rd?
No. No comments.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minute, and we'll have to do this by roll call again. So roll call vote. We'll be doing roll call vote here for everything this evening. So I will go one by one around again. So I will entertain a motion for approval of the January 23rd minutes.
So moved.
Motion by myself, Jay Pimpare, and seconded by Chris McFarland. Jay Pimpare, in favor, aye. James?
Aye.
Marianne Weatherald?
Aye.
Eric Eisenhower?
Aye.
Chris McFarland?
Aye.
Alex Cornes?
Aye.
That vote passes 6-0. Next up is the minutes of March 12th. I was not at the meeting. Eric was chairing that meeting, so they did look at the minutes. I didn't have any comments to that. Did anybody have any comments to the March 12th minutes? Okay,
Nope.
I will make a motion to approve. So looking back at that meeting, I'm going to be jumping around on my screen here. Alex, Jay, and Patricia were not present. So Alex, you'll have to abstain from that vote. I will abstain as well, and Patricia's not here. But the rest of you were present, so you can vote in favor if you don't have any comments to that. So Jay Pimpare, abstain from the vote. James Roseback, you're muted, sorry.
Aye.
Marianne Weatherald.
Aye.
Eric Eisenhower.
Aye.
Chris McFarland.
Aye.
Alex Cornes.
You want me to abstain from that, right?
Yeah, you weren't present for the minutes, so it'd be hard
Okay,
to vote
abstain.
on those.
Abstain.
So that vote passes by a vote of 4-0 with 2 abstentions. Okay, next item of business is scheduled for 7:05. It's a show cause hearing at 183 Atlantic Avenue. The Fernandos, this was work done without a permit. And if we could bring in Mr. and Mrs. or whoever is in the attendees, Mr. Fernando or Mrs. Fernando. Thank you for coming on board here. Just to bring everybody up to speed. And now, Jeff, I'll turn it over to you to give a little bit more information in a second here. This is a show cause hearing, and basically where we have found that there was work done that was needing a permit in accordance with the Town of Cohasset Wetlands Rules and Regulations or stormwater permit. We invite the attendee in to kind of give their side of the story. To remind everybody, this project is at site is 183 Atlantic Avenue. Our agent Jeffrey Summers on April 2nd, 2020 issued a cease and desist order for some work where there was some removal of some vegetation that was within the 100-foot buffer zone. And so, Jeff, you want to just bring us up to speed a little bit more, and then we'll just turn it over to the Fernandos to just kind of give us an update on what was occurring or the intentions on moving forward.
Okay, sure. So first, I just want to thank Mr. and Mrs. Fernando for coming. I appreciate that. It took us a while to get here, but we're finally here, and you guys have been waiting patiently for this day. So what happened was a neighbor had given me a call and said there was some vegetation removed in the wetland area. So that little peninsula-looking area is actually a wetland itself. It was delineated as a wetland for, I think, it might have been your house project, but definitely the house project next door. So we know that was a wetland. So any work in a wetland, including, well, actually in a wetland or 100 feet from a wetland, including the removal of vegetation, requires a permit. So that's why I sent you the cease and desist order to make sure that you stop removing any more vegetation, and then to have you come in before the commission so we can, address the issue. So the area of vegetation removal in the wetland itself was maybe, I'd say, 60 feet deep by 15 or 20 feet wide. It was mostly scrub brush, a lot of dead vines and stuff in there, but there was probably about 8 live trees ranging from maybe 4 inches to 10 inches in diameter. So that was the vegetation that was removed. And that's really all I have to say at the moment.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. So I know I talked to Jeff a little bit about this project, and I second his comments. I know that Mr. and Mrs. Fernando, you've been working or talking with Jeff about trying to mitigate that and come up with some mitigation planting, et cetera, restoration project. So I'll turn it over to you to kind of give us a little bit of an overview of how you intend to restore that area, because that really is our overall intention, is some type of mitigation or restoration. So you're muted right now. I can see that on the screen. So before you, you had it, there you go. You just want to give us an update on either what happened or moving forward. What are your plans?
Yeah, I'm happy to explain what happened. It was a great deal of ignorance probably on my part. We've lived at 414 North Main Street up until recently, until this February, for about 17 years. We moved into the house, and as Jeff described, not being very familiar with ordinance or vegetation, for that matter, it looked like the vines were taking over all these trees. And so being a little bit of a backyard project, I just started clearing it out. It wasn't intended to be, it was very unwitting. I didn't even realize what I was doing and recognize what was happening. But we did receive the letter from Jeff and appreciated him getting in touch with us. We stopped everything we're doing right now. And really, we're looking to work with this committee to figure out. I think we're obviously very much supportive of green space and vegetation, and wanted to know how important our wetlands are for environments, and so want to do the appropriate steps to remediate. We've had some informal discussions with the Schwantz, who are our new neighbors, who I think are also working with Jeff, and if it's possible, I don't have anything formal to present, but we'd love to work with this committee and the Schwantz to come up with a plan together to address what seems to be these vines that are taking over the trees, maybe impacting how they can stand, especially against the heavy winds and falling them over at times. Like some of the stuff I cleared out were half cracked trees.
Sure.
And so that's, I think, probably the extent of what we know or or how we'd love to be able to proceed if that's appropriate.
And also, just to mention, as part of this, we do have an easement to the beach. And so I think hopefully that will be a part of the process as well.
Yeah.
To be able to utilize that.
Okay. I think the example of the invasives taking over a little bit is certainly not uncommon in this town. There's just a proper procedure and how go about doing the removal process. So that's why we're here. I would encourage you to continue to talk to Jeff. Jeff has been through many of these different projects from around the town at this point. The commission is not in a position to tell you exactly what needs to be done. What needs to be done is the filing of an after the fact, probably just an RDA, Jeff. Or maybe not even an RDA. How do you want to? What type of mechanism should we be putting in place here in order to move this forward? A restoration plan, or would it be an RDA? I mean, it's there's no structures here. So.
Yeah, so technically speaking, because it is work in the wetland itself, it would require a notice of intent. But again, since this is a vegetation project, I mean, like you just said, it's just vegetation. I think if they wanted to file a restoration plan under an RDA, I don't have any problem with that.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I just say one thing. I think it'd be worthwhile if at least we had a drawing of what they want to do. And we've had a number of cases when we let people go ahead and do something based on our goodwill and confidence as to what was going to be done, and found out that a lot more was done in the end than what we thought. So I think there needs to be some documentation on this, so we know what is there now and what's going to be afterwards, including felling trees, because I don't take lightly going in with a chainsaw. Apparently chainsaw has been in there in addition to brush cutting and all that. And it's the chainsawing of trees I find probably more difficult to accept than the clearing out of the invasives. But I think we need some indication of the extent of the work.
So the restoration filing would be subject to the commission's review and approval. When the Fernandos file the restoration plan under the RDA, it will then become before the commission as a permit application for work. So the commission will review and make changes at that time.
Right. So that's what I was getting at, Jeff, is what is the mechanism being an RDA or restoration plan? It sounds like we could do this under an RDA. So in this particular, what we do moving forward is we issue an enforcement order. Typically, where we have work done without a permit, we issue an enforcement order with a time frame in order to submit that RDA. And the RDA is a request for determination of applicability. So that would include some drawings, and Jeff will go through all of this with you. He's the person to contact. That would include some type of a drawing or schematic and saying I'm going to plant XYZ plantings here, or shrubs, bushes, trees, etc., whatever that would be. Don't be alarmed by the word enforcement action. There's no monetary penalty with that, but what we need to do is, as Eric pointed out, is put a time frame on this, on when a plan could be submitted. So I know we're all under very difficult times right now, and everybody has a lot on their plate, but I think we certainly have to have a date in place by which a plan would be submitted, so that, as Jeff mentioned, it would be up for a formal review in front of this commission at a later date and time. So let me just ask you, how much time do you think it would take, given our current situation that we're in now, to get either a wetland scientist or come up with some form of, and maybe you might even be able to do it yourself. Maybe you have the background to do that by yourself, to come up with a plan to submit to the Conservation Commission. Well, how long do you think that would take?
Are there wetland scientists that you typically work with, or that we could be referred to?
There are. I'm going to let you talk to Jeff offline about that, and Jeff can give you a few names rather than just one name. He'll probably give you 3 names. But yes, the answer is yes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think, never being through this before, I think we'd love to just start engaging them.
Sure.
is there, in your experience, is it like 30, 60, 90 days? Like what's appropriate?
It's May 14th right now. I would probably say 60 days or so. I don't know how, that's just my initial guess. I mean, I think the goal would be to try and get some plantings in later this year. Maybe in, certainly depending on the species of things you plant, you probably don't want to do that in August anyway, but September, October would be a great time to do some plantings. So I would say, mid-July, 60 days. I don't know how others feel. Jeff, I just threw 60 days out there.
That's actually what I was thinking too. Yeah, I think that's fair.
When are our meeting dates in July? Jeff, do you know offhand, or Angela, anybody know offhand? It would try and coincide that date with the deadline date with a date so that we could actually have it on the agenda moving forward. We typically meet the first and third Thursday of every month, but we have the 4th of July thrown in there. It mixes things up.
It's the July 7th and July 23rd.
And how about the first meeting in August?
July 6th.
August 6th?
August
I'm sorry, August 6th, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to come back. Why don't we just say July 20th? And so if the application were submitted, or the package were submitted prior to July 20th, or even if it was submitted on July 20th, we would get you on the agenda for August 6th.
Okay.
Anybody, I'm doing a lot of talking here, and hopefully this isn't the theme for the evening. But anybody have any comments?
You did real well, Jay.
If you want to chime in, just take yourself off mute. I don't want to be the only voice here. But anybody have any objections to July 20th deadline? And then, of course, we'll have to move this to vote.
I would say, Mr. Fernando, if you wanted to move more rapidly, I think it's possible. I know a lot about gardening and all this stuff. And if you wanted to go in and you could have a plan in 2 weeks if you wanted to. And that really depends on how aggressive your timing is. What we're talking about is not rocket science, all right? It's a diagram, it's a path, indication of what you want to come down. X is where you want to put some trees in, and a narrative to go with it. So, how fast we move is really up to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, that's a deadline, but by all means, as Eric had mentioned, if you turn this around in 2 weeks, then fantastic, and we can move forward with it. I've just given you a little bit extra time, given our current situation that we're all under here.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you. Yep.
Thanks.
So, any further comments to that? And then what we'll do is I'll entertain them, make a motion any other comments? No. All right. Why don't Jay Pampari would like to make a motion to issue an enforcement order to 183 Atlantic Avenue for the submittal of an RDA application an after-the-fact RDA application to address some form of mitigation plan, planting, etc., to address the work that was done without a permit, and the deadline to submit that would be July 20th, 2020. Do I have a second?
I second.
Seconded by Marianne Weatherald. I will do this by roll call vote again. All those in favor?
Jay,
Yes,
Hey,
sorry.
I'm sorry, before you go ahead, I noticed there's some question and answers. I don't know if that's necessary to address or not.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? So that I don't multitask here and do it all. Jeff, do you want to monitor this? Although you and I can see the Q&A, and Jen as well. But Jeff, do you want to just go through the Q&A here?
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. So it's Lynn Schwann. She's making a comment that they're going to have Brad Holmes work on the project.
That would be
Yeah, that'd be great. We're
we're-
happy to work with them
Yeah.
on a joint plan because it abuts both our properties, and
Okay.
we can work with the Schwantz on that.
May I have a question? Who is Ms. Schwant? Who is she? What is she in relation to this?
She's our neighbor, so her property abuts ours, and I think we both own property that has wetland on it. Is that the way to say it?
Yes. Okay.
I think this timeline still holds, though, that we need to put the timeline in, whether it's
Yes.
done by the neighbor or yourself. The
Okay.
timeline
Right.
still holds for you, not
Yep.
them.
Right.
Great.
And I think the Q&A there was really more of a comment, and that Lynn wanted to make note that they are planning to submit a plan to Brad Holmes, and again, you can hopefully piggyback on that. So we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any further discussion? We'll do this by roll call vote. All those in favor of the enforcement action with the language that I had previously mentioned, we'll go this by roll call. Please say aye. Justin Pimpare, aye. James Roseback.
Aye.
Marianne Weatherald.
Aye.
Eric Eisenhower.
Aye.
Chris McFarland.
Aye.
Alex Cornes.
Aye.
So that vote passes 6-0. So again, I encourage you to work with Jeff on that, and we thank you for your time this evening, and
Thank you.
Have a great weekend. Be safe. Thank you.
You too.
You too. Thanks a
Thanks.
lot.
Bye.
Okay, moving right along here. Our next item of business is scheduled for 7:15 is 589 Jerusalem Road, a revised vegetation plan. So I'll wait a few minutes while we queue up. If somebody could bring in, I know Todd is going to be hopefully in attendance this evening. to represent the
I don't see Todd's name. I just see a few phone numbers. I don't know if he's one of those.
Okay, if I don't know, is Todd, I see.
I see a hand up.
I
That could be
see
Todd.
And
781-915-9536. Oh, a hand up.
Okay.
I'm going to allow them to talk. And if you could just unmute you, I'll unmute you. Do we have Todd?
Yes, this is Todd.
Hey, Todd. So you're 859-081-66500.
Yeah, it's my tablet.
Something like that. Okay, great. Welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
And
you.
we also have, and I apologize if I'm going to botch this name, Marike?
Yes, Marika Bernson.
Hey, great. Great to see you or hear you again. So just to bring, so is that everyone that's going to be representing the project tonight?
Yes.
Okay, great. So before I get started here, I just want to make note I was not present. This is a continuation from another continuation, but this continuation is from March 12th. I was not at the March 12th hearing. However, I have listened to the tape, and I am very familiar with the subject and the issue here. I have signed an affidavit stating that I listened to the tape, and I am fully ready to participate in the sessions this evening. I don't know if anyone else was not in attendance. I believe, Alex, you were the only other one that was not in attendance, but did you have a chance to listen to the tape, and are you ready to participate in the hearing tonight?
No, I'll stand by. I didn't listen to it. I'll just
Okay. I'm gonna put you on. Oh, you muted yourself. Okay. So we have a quorum here of myself, Marianne, Eric, Chris. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 voting members, and James. I'm sorry, 5. It's like watching a game show here, trying to get all the names and attendees. All right, so we have 5 voting members. So anyway, to get to the subject here, this is a continuation from March 12th. I'll turn it over to you, Todd, in a minute. I have looked at the plan. I've been out there. I've done a site visit. I actually even spoke with Marike a little bit this afternoon. She's pointed out a couple of the trees, etc. We also have some documentation that was submitted by, pull it up here, Steve Ivis, who was out there as well, a professional wetland scientist. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to read that letter that was submitted by Steve, as he was out there as well. So, and there's a new diagram, I believe. This is now Jeff, can we pull, or Jen, can we pull up the actual diagram that may help this flow if Todd's okay with it? Pulling up the actual, the PDF there. I know we've talked about this. I'm going to throw, Todd, are you okay if we pull up that PDF? Would that be easier to describe here as you talk through this?
Sure. Nothing's really changed since the last meeting in terms
Okay.
of what's on the plan.
All right. I don't know if you want me to share my screen, Jeff, or you can share your screen, or Jen, if Jen even has it, to pull up the PDF file.
Yeah, if you can, Jay, because I have a copy here, but I'm not looking at one online on the computer.
That's the narrative.
All right. So can you see that now?
Oh, I was thinking, but that's my drawing.
Can everybody see that?
Yep,
Yes.
I got it.
Okay. So I'm going to leave that up there, and Steve, excuse me, Todd, hopefully that helps you out a little bit so we're all on the same page here as far as trying to make this as visually easy as possible. So if you want to just take us through here, Todd, and just kind of give a little bit of an overview of where we stood. I know it's the last meeting. There was a recommendation to go out with a third-party review. Steve did that. We looked at it. So just give us a quick little overview again on where we are with this.
Like I said, nothing's really changed since the last meeting. The written narrative is still the same. We're proposing to remove the black locust and oriental bittersweet, and that's in area 1, and we want to replace that with native vegetation, and then have Jeff come out and take a look and make sure that we did what we said we were going to do, and then do area 2, and then proceed in the fall to area 3. Area 1 and area 2 are of the greatest concern because they are the most where we want to put in the red cedar that need to be planted as soon as possible. And then the black tupelo grove in area 3 would be suitable to plant in the fall. We'd like to proceed with areas 1 and 2 as soon as possible, so that way the planting takes hold.
So in area 1, and I don't know if you can see my mouse there in the middle of the screen. I'm looking at that oak. So what is the caliper size or height size for that white oak that you're proposing?
We're proposing in that area to use a 1 to 2 inch oak tree. We've chosen to use smaller size plants so that way when we plant them we do less disturbance, and also because of the conditions of the site, we want them to stabilize the bank. A big tree already has a lot of roots on it. It doesn't need to establish them the same way as a small plant. If you put a small plant in, as it grows, its roots penetrate into the bank, versus we put in a big tree. By the time the little tree got to the size of the 2 inch of a 4 inch tree, it would have roots way into the bank, versus if we go down and dig a big hole and put a large tree in, it's more disturbance to the resource area. So in terms of protecting the resource, the less disturbance we do, the better.
And what is the proposal size-wise for these eastern red cedars?
Those are all like the 3 to 4 gallon size, ranging in height from 2 to 3 feet tall.
Do you think you could get anything bigger in there, or is it this? I would imagine the root system is not anywhere near as big as a white oak.
No, it's different on the cedar. The root size is definitely, the root balls are smaller on the cedar trees. We could do, I mean, in the narrative it says the 6 to 7 foot height. Those are similar to the ones that we planted last year on the side of the house. Over when we took out the Norway maples up out of the buffer zone, we planted a bunch of, there's 3 cedars over there.
Right.
I'm sure we could get something of that size in there. Those are about a 5 gallon size.
I mean, so I'll give you my overall take here. I don't have to tell you that not to bring up the history all over again, there's been some significant work that's already been undertaken. There was some significant removal of vegetation out there. I did see on, I think it's on the other side of the dock there. Is that a one of the white oaks, or is that one of the maples that actually that was just recently planted on the other side of the steps? Is that an
That
oak?
was from phase 2
Right.
last year when we moved one of the mitigation trees from the past.
Is that an oak or is that a maple?
That's a white oak.
A white oak, okay. So I was out there today, and it looks like it's trying to bloom and blossom. It's got a couple. It's not full yet. Of course, it's only May, and I wouldn't expect it to. But I would like to think that I'd like to see everything grow there. I think it's first of all, it's an incredibly difficult site, right? I mean, the slope is like a 1-to-1 45-degree angle or slope over there. It's not the easiest thing to just go in there and plant, as you've already discussed about the root balls, etc. If we could get something, bigger in there, then I'm sure we would all prefer that. So my personal opinion is I'd like to see something take a little bit before we start just jumping all around in there. Now, the front of the house, the 2 trees in the front of the house look amazing. They are blooming. They look like perfectly beautiful, healthy, wonderful trees. They're also on flat land where they probably had a nice excavation there and put whatever else, fertilizer, etc. in the front there. They're doing great. So I would like to see that oak bloom a little bit better to ease my fears that this project is going to work. As you know, I've been hesitant all along. That the only reason I'm trying to work with you and personally, I'm only one vote, and to give you my support is for you and the neighbors, not the neighbors, the owners. You have 3 owners there who are very dedicated to this project, and I applaud all 3 of them for the dedication. I think you've done a great job out there. I hope that if this project does go forward, that it continues to thrive. But I would feel more comfortable with seeing a little bit more success with some of the plantings and not kind of rushing into this. So that's my initial thought, but I'll throw it out to the rest of the commission to talk through this a little bit more if anybody wants to chime in.
Hey, Todd, this is Eric Eisenhower. I tend to share our chairman's viewpoint as to the history of this project going back a number of years. We in a summer, if you look at the area, we've taken anything of any size, either with the prior owners or what's going on now, and completely leveled it. We have taken everything out of this area. We essentially will clear cut this bank right down to Straits Pond. In general, that's not the kind of thing we like to promote in a resource area. It's not our job. We like to work with what we have and to minimize the change. And I understand why you're doing this, I think. But you're taking out your black locust. Could you tell me how you are actually going to remove those? Because the roots and the suckers and the what's coming up next to it, they're intertwined in the rubble there. I just think you're gonna have a hard time getting all that stuff out. You can't use any chemicals. I assume you're going in with a saw or whatever it may be. But could you talk for a while as to what level of treatment is actually going to take place there?
We intend to remove the black locust by hand and then to apply salt to the trunks to kill the black locust. We actually haven't seen much growth on any of the black locust in the area. I was on the site on this week, and I observed that everything that we planted and everything that we moved is alive and well. And I have no doubt to believe that we're going to continue to have that success. Oak trees bud out later than maple trees. The maple trees are protected from the harsh environment of Straits Pond. And so because they're on the opposite side of the house, they're protected in a microclimate there, so they're thriving. But if you actually look at them, you can see where if you're looking at the house, the maple to the left has not budded out as much, and it's in direct line with the wind that comes off of Straits Pond. It goes to the reasoning why we've wanted to choose specific types of trees that can thrive in this environment and why we've chosen to put them at the bottom of the bank. In terms of eradicating black locust, cutting down black locust, applying salt and covering it with wood chips and cardboard is going to give us the best opportunity to control it. Is it going to happen overnight? No, it's an ongoing project, which is why the homeowners are so committed to seeing it through.
So, Todd, the timeline on this project, can you talk about what your treatment levels in years to come and what you expect to be doing there on that slope?
I would suspect that it's going to be light weeding with hand pruners. The strategy is to smother, add the salt to change the soil chemistry so that way it's saltier, which plants don't like, and then to go back in and where there are suckers that pop up, you cut them down. And when you cut them down, it takes the energy from the tree that it had put into getting through the cardboard and the wood chips, and over time you can successfully curtail their growth. And why we chose to plant ground covers and native plants is because they can thrive in the areas that aren't yet infected with all of the native invasive plants.
I think one of my concerns is the use of chemical salt in a large way, right on the edge of Straits Pond. It's not something which we in general would like to see in terms of controlling invasives.
It works with Phragmites. When we changed the flow at Musquashkett Pond in Scituate and allowed the salt water back in.
If you were to come here, if you were to come here and make a proposal, you're going to treat the Phragmites that we have around Cohasset with salt. I guarantee you there'll be a strong opposition on the Conservation Commission you doing that. You may do it.
Well, it worked in Scituate when I was on the Conservation Commission. We allowed the salt water to get flooded back in, and
there are lots of things that work, Todd. But if you read our regulations and our standards, I think there are some of us who might object to that. But that's not the issue.
Well, we're talking about a paintbrush and a small amount of salt onto the black locust.
And I saw also, Steve had a look. Steve, we had last time we had our concerns, we had an expert look at it, and he did write about the salt in a letter too. And he did state that that is a technique that he would support that we use. So if the experts are now questioned, I don't know what else, where we want to take that then.
How many trees are a black locust are we talking about here? As far as being removed.
I think it was,
In Area 1, there are roughly 15 to 20, 15 to 20 that are in the range of 2 to 3 inches caliper.
Okay.
And those are the ones that are covered in the Oriental Bittersweet.
And that's can you see my screen? Is that in this area here?
It's adjacent to the stairs. I can't see it, but it's adjacent to the stairs. Okay. That's Area 1.
All right.
Jay, for some reason we've lost your PDF.
No, in Area 1, there's 7 or 8.
Oh, that's right, 7. I'm sorry, there's 7 in Area 1.
Jeff, could you share the PDF again?
Can you see it now?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're talking about this Area 1 right here, where the shrubs are. If you've been to the site, it's probably, I'm gonna guess it's a good diagram. It's probably halfway over. So the eastern area that we're talking about there's already been some work done over in there. And there's a tree that's probably right in here, which is the white oak that we were talking about that was transformed from the banking that went down to the top of the bank down into the bank. So this is the area one. I'm going to guess that's probably about roughly 25 feet, maybe.
Yes, it's 25 feet from the top of the bank to the bottom of the bank, and it's 27 feet wide.
Right. So again, the intent is to remove some of the black locust and then plant the white oak and the eastern red cedar there.
So I walked the property again today, and I applaud the efforts, as I've said before, by the homeowners to rectify this situation. I've seen phase 1, I've seen phase 2. I really would like to see it grow more to get more results. So I can be more comfortable with phase 3 and area 1. I did take a look at the property from the opposite view from Straits Pond, and that's where it probably stood out to me the most, that the area that has already been touched, it just looked more stripped. And I'm just kind of very concerned if you touch more area 1 and area 2, what will become of it more. And I just feel like more time has to be waited for see the effects of the success of phase 1 and 2 before I make a decision to keep going.
Marianne, I do really appreciate you came out, and I appreciate your support for the project. What I found a year and a half ago on the bank that you're talking about that looks much more bare was much less than what it is now.
It was there.
Yeah, there was hardly anything there. There was just rubble and weeds, and there was hardly anything there. And we've gone through so much effort to plant this. And it's so truly upsetting to be stopped over and over again. I just don't know. We've put red cedars on that bank. We've put a whole lot of northern bayberries. We've put the right stuff, the things that our state tells us will thrive. We have the energy. We have the support of the community, of our HOA. Can we please just do the right thing on this bank now? Can we just please stop looking at the past and start thinking about the future?
I'd like to
I'm not helped by keep looking back at what happened in the past. We're doing the best we can now to make it right. I have the support. I have people who want to support this, so I'm almost begging you now. Let us just do it. We got
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, sorry. I'm just getting very emotional about this now.
No, it's understandable. Chris, I know you had a comment here, but just go ahead, Chris, and then I'll make a comment. Chris,
yeah, I like Marianne do believe that some period of growth is necessary to evaluate what's been done so far. If the homeowner is so adamant about doing this entire bank, then what I would like to see is a planting plan that actually covers the bank. In the plan that's currently shown, well, it's not up there now, but there are 4 tupelo planted on the left side of the property. 4 tupelo in an area 25 feet by 25 feet. Now,
it's back again.
Tupelo is a very slow-growing plant. It would occupy an area when planted of approximately 2 feet by 2 feet, and there's 4 of them, which means that the great majority of that piece of the slope would be nothing but the boulders that are there. Now, what I could see is if the owner would propose a planting plan that covered the slope and was that they would guarantee by some order of conditions that that slope would be within a reasonable amount of time a a collection of native plants, a native plant community that covers that slope adequately, then I could understand. But what's being shown is very few plants in relationship to what a natural environment would actually put out there. And we're being asked to evaluate it based on less than 1 year's growth. And I think, so I really think that you need, as Todd
Have you
just,
guys read the narrative? I'm sorry.
Todd,
The narrative
Todd,
in Area 1,
excuse
it
me,
does
Todd,
it calls
speak to
for
Todd.
dozens and dozens of plants. There's 30 to 50 bearberry, 14 sweet fern, 4 eastern red cedar,
We have
3
read that,
northern
yes.
bearberry, and 1 white oak
Todd,
in a 25 by 25 foot area. What are
Todd.
you talking about?
Todd, I'm gonna mute you for a second there. I hear you. We have read that all. And Chris, go ahead for a second more here. We have read it all, and I'll have my comments in a minute. But if someone's talking, please don't talk over them. Everyone will get a turn here. I don't really want to have to mute anybody. If we were in a live meeting, I would mute you at a live meeting, and we have that capability here. So let's all be professional, one at a time.
All I'm saying is that if an appropriate planting plan showed the accurate size of plant material, the accurate placement of plant material, it showed that it covered the slope, and that was the basis for an order of conditions, then perhaps this plan could be considered as something that's going forward, because at that point the owner has the responsibility that's what would have to end up on that slope. And at this time, all we have are kind of small X's, and it's unclear as to what exactly is being placed where and what the owner is actually committing to for long term.
So, and I will echo the comments that were made, and Marika and others. I'm not trying to bring up the past whatsoever. We all know what the past was. What we're trying to do is have a suitable plan that is submitted to this commission. And I'm not saying that we can all agree on and look at and say, this is a plan, and we have trees that are already thriving in the area. We have one planting season where we have the one oak down there. I would feel more comfortable with seeing that oak grow a little bit or bloom a little bit, at least through the spring and summer season. I think that the eastern red cedars could probably be increased in size. I know that you put the other shrubs, etc., all in that area, and I know you've done a lot of work to that. I will echo the comments. You know, we all walk around the pond and go around. If you go over to that from the Hull side, when you look back, you can barely even see some of those trees. It basically looks like a riprap wall. And we all know that even as of a year ago, that that's not what it looked like. So we applaud the homeowners, and we're trying to work with you here. This is not a case of we're saying, you know, we're looking to deny the project. I think we all want to work with you a little bit here, but we just like to see, you know, a little bit more growth there. I know our interests are to protect the bank first and foremost, but we're also looking to provide some more wildlife habitat. And, you know, I don't have to tell you what the wildlife habitat is over there. It's tremendous. This is an area of critical environmental concern. It's Straits Pond. It's an ACEC area. So, you know, personally, myself, I would feel a little bit more comfortable with a little bit more of the size-wise, a little bit more height on and some more coverage with the eastern red cedars. The oak is great. I know we'd all like to see something a little bigger down there, but we understand the root ball situation. You know, Again, I would feel a little more comfortable if I could see that oak grow a little bit. I'm not putting saying that that I wouldn't, I'm denying the project. So just keep that in mind. We're all, sounds like we're all willing to work here with you.
I also want to acknowledge that the IVIS environmental engineer or environmental scientist came through. I think they did a good job. They did assess it, and I don't differ with what they're recommending to eradicate your efforts, eradicate the vegetation rather. But I just would like a little more growth on phase 1 and phase 2.
Is there, I know you want to try and get this project going, immediately, but what is the concern about trying to get it done right now, today, in the middle of May or even early June, as opposed to, sometime in the fall? And I'll just throw that time frame out there.
The red cedar are it's preferable to plant red cedar in the spring. There's a small window in the fall, but it's preferable to do it in the spring. The invasive plants that are on the bank get seeds. They can land in Straits Pond. They are not just a problem at 589 Jerusalem Road. When they spread from the bank, they will spread all around the pond. If the pond is what you're concerned about and the habitat and the wildlife, why would we leave those invasive species to spread any minute longer?
Well, in that sense, most of the pond is covered with invasive species.
And riprap walls, and that doesn't seem to bother you either. Right down at the end of Jerusalem Road.
Where's this riprap wall you're referring to?
At where Jerusalem Road, at the end of Forest Street, there is a large riprap embankment, probably 75 feet tall, that surrounds the whole entire property.
This is the new one, right, Todd?
It's an armament on a barrier beach. We can't remove invasive species.
We've talked about that. That project is more than 100 feet from Straits Pond. That is not within the 100-foot buffer zone.
There's a pond right where their boat is parked right now. It is a wetland.
I'm not going to get into that, because we've discussed this project over and over in the past, and that was, to best of my knowledge, not flagged as and again, I didn't do the flagging, but that, as best of my knowledge, that has been classified as not as a wetland out there. So let's move on from that project.
Let's move on with this project that we've been in 5 times now. Every time we come in, we do exactly what we've said we were going to do. We've shown that we have the resource area and it's in the best interest of everything that we do. And we are trying to eliminate not only a threat to the resource area, but also to the bank by the fact that these trees are not going to survive and they will destabilize it in time. I just don't understand what the difference at this point would be as if we just cut them down and we come back. We have a very esteemed and well-respected wetland professional who came out and said that this is a model for how we should be treating these areas. And now we're in the same, oh, we got to wait, we got to do a little bit more and do a little bit more. Well, that's what we've been doing now for over a year. And every time we do what we said we were going to do. And now we have the professional saying, look, this is exactly what we should be doing. And that's not enough. And that's not enough, Justin.
No, I just want to remind you that this is phase 3 of a project. Phase 1 was approved. Phase 2 was approved. And quite honestly, I'm really surprised that this entire commission voted to approve all of phase 1 and phase 2. So I have to say, you've gone over 2 hurdles right now. So there's been a substantial amount of work that has been done in the 50-foot buffer zone. And
to the benefit of the resource.
All has been done within the past, I don't know, 9-10 months. There's a significant amount of work that has been done. So this,
and it looks amazing. The plants are thriving.
I don't want to have to put you on mute again. Just let me finish. You'll have your own comments, Todd. we've approved phase 1, we approved phase 2. We are now talking about phase 3. Every project that comes in front of this commission does not get approved. I don't have to sit here and go through all the projects that we didn't approve. Okay? This is a substantial, in my view, amount of work. We're talking about basically clear cutting and then replanting along a coastal bank. And we typically do not allow any disturbance at all. And the only reason I'm giving this any consideration at all is because, again, as I mentioned, the homeowners and the success so far, but I'm not convinced that that success is met 100% of true growth and bloom and survivability, etc. So I'm just saying I'd like to see a little bit more time there and the plan kind of beefed up a little bit. That's all.
Okay, so if we just stop right now and we walk away from it, the area that we worked in was not vegetated. In that you guys came out where the white oak is planted, there was very, very little vegetation on it when I started on this project. There is 5 times more vegetation on there than there was when I started. And there is now a large white oak tree at the base of the bank, stabilizing the bank.
I don't know about
If we walk away and we
definition
let it
of a
go,
large
if
oak
we
tree.
let it go, at least a bunch of the native plants are going to make it. And so the invasives take back over, and at least there's some natives in there.
When you say the invasives take over,
If you ignore them, that's what happens. It's just exactly what happened to the whole entire bank. It got ignored, and it got taken over by a plant that's on the do not plant list in Massachusetts, black locust, and 5 or 6 other different invasive plants.
Todd, isn't it your responsibility to keep maintaining phase 1 and 2? And so it would be the homeowner's responsibility to keep those 2 thriving and cleared?
Why wouldn't they? For the amount of money and time that they've invested in it, why would they just let it go back to the invasives?
Okay, so
I think we're talking about certainly continuing with phase 1 and phase 2. We're not talking about backing out of that.
No.
That's all already approved, and we'd like to, I think, energetically proceed with phase 1 and phase 2. The real question is how far we go with phase 3 right now. Chris, can I ask you a question? You talked about populating the bank and giving it good coverage. How would you see that taking place now in that area on the western side?
I don't have an answer for that, Eric. I'm not proposing a solution. What I'm saying is that a completed ecosystem that the owner is willing to guarantee is potentially a project that I could support. But a planting similar to what was done in phase 1 and 2 is only a completed ecosystem if it survives for a long period of time. The time that we're asking to see, or at least some time that we're asking to see how 1 and 2 actually succeed. That's what it comes down to.
So can I ask Chris, so I'm not as well versed as you all are, and so I'm trying to understand what you're saying. So are you saying you're willing to support the project to go forward if we commit ourselves in writing to how I'm not sure how you described it, but to have that coverage and to keep maintaining that? Is that how what you're saying?
Well, it would not be just in writing. There has to be a drawing that clearly identifies the specific species that are being used, the location and the size to which one would expect them to grow, and then it's your responsibility to meet that overall
Yeah, but
conviction within a reasonable amount of time. And I think that, you know, take an Atlantic red cedar, for instance. That plant is a very slow growing plant. A lot of its health and vigor depend on the conditions that it's subject to. And in 10 years, it might be, you know, 10 feet tall and 4 feet wide, or it might be 6 feet tall and 3 foot wide. But at some point, the ecosystem that it's part of has got to evolve to make that slope something better than it currently is. And there are two possibilities here. One is you prove to us through phases 1 and 2 that that's going to happen, or 2 is you commit to something that you can't back away from.
okay.
So if you're saying that, you know, 9 potentia, and first of all, depending on the species, we only have the genus listed, we don't have the species listed. You know, if a certain amount of plants are going to cover a certain area, then that's what you have to do. And then the conservation agent has something that he can come and say, sorry, you're not living up to your end of the bargain. It's not like, oh, well, we tried and we stuck these in and some of them died. And
No, but I hope I showed over the last year that that's not how I've been approaching this. And I hope
I understand that it's not, but
Chris,
this is,
can I ask you, so we gave very detailed list of what we plan to plant in each area, which is a lot of plants. So that's what we want to plant. Now, we drew in the red cedars, which are 12 in total. We drew in the oaks and the black tupelo, which are 7 in total. Now, where exactly these shrubs go, you have to work with the bank. So
So what you
okay. But I can't tell you exactly like this is where, because that wouldn't be fair. There's a lot of rock there. There's a lot to work with. So we cannot tell you exactly where those get. But in area 3, I just filled in here because this was never meant, this picture was not meant for this discussion, but I'm happy for it to be up here. But it shows you the black tupelo, but in that same area, it will have the 3 Easter red cedars, which are drawn there.
No, I have the list. Yes.
Yeah, this actually, I'm sorry.
Berries there.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry. We need to go off of the narrative that we submitted because the narrative has planting lists. This picture is not, I honestly don't know what this is. I've seen it briefly, but this is not, this doesn't equal what is in the narrative. If you read the narrative.
And this was meant to be used in this way.
Yeah, I didn't even submit that. I don't know where you got that.
Well, let me speak here. This is what we have. This obviously was submitted as part of the plan because this is what we have as part of the plan, which is why it's in front of you this evening. And I can take it off the screen, but I'm just giving you an overview when we start talking about area 1, area 2, area 3, and different sections, etc. And so I think that clearly the applicant, someone put this together on the applicant's behalf.
I can explain it, Justin. So 2 or 3 weeks ago, when everything stopped, I sent an email to them. This is my drawing, okay, the homeowner's drawing. It was never my intention to show every shrub. It's to show Jeff where the red cedars would be, because my main concern is getting the red cedars in quickly because they need some of that spring, right? So, but there's more plants than just this. But this is really just the area with showing the trees, the black tupelo. But okay. I can read it out, but it is in our narrative, and we are committing to exactly those plants, and we will put in. And
I understand that you're committed to these plants. I'm looking at the planting list in the narrative. 7 black tupelo, as shown on your drawing, 3 eastern red cedar, 3 serviceberry, 5 beach plum, 5 high bush blueberry, 5 big blue stem. Okay? That's 28 plants in an area of approximately, if you come up towards the house, when the ones, if that's part of it as well, you're looking at 25 by 50. If it's just the area on the bank, if it comes up, it's even more.
No,
Okay.
it's 17 by 25.
Pardon me?
It's not that large, right?
It's only 17 feet by 25. Area,
Not
All right.
area 3.
You said area 1 that was shown over here was 25 by 25. So I was just using that. But fine. The point being that you just said that because of the way the rocks are, you can't be sure of where things are going to go. Okay? If you can't be sure where they're going to go, then you can't be sure how they're going to grow in the future. And you cannot, in any circumstance, suggest that what's going to end up in this side, going from your narrative, going from this plan, whatever you want to go from, you cannot guarantee that you have a viable native ecosystem at the end of the day. Yes, if we allow you to do this, you can go in and you can trim the black locust to your heart's content. You can trim. But all you can promise that might be out there is a big boulder rock garden with some plants that might live and might not live.
But Steve Ivers, who we all agreed at the last meeting was an expert, tells the commission that he recommends to let us go forward.
That's fine. He can recommend all day, but is he guaranteeing that this is a native?
I spoke to him a few weeks ago when everything came to a halt, and he said, just do it. You are doing the right thing. Steve Ivers told me that.
That's fine.
I just want to let you know that Steve Iris, while we have reviewed that, is not a regulatory body within the town of Cohasset.
I understand that, but I was told at the last meeting that he is an expert and that we really value his opinion. But the moment he doesn't tell us what we want to hear, he doesn't count anymore.
Well, wait a minute.
Nobody said that he didn't count anymore.
I never brought up his name. So please don't say that because a commissioner, if it in fact is true, said that he was someone that was valued, makes him the authority. Okay? And the truth of the matter is that there is a chance, I don't know what the percentage is, there is a chance that if you did this work in some period of time, it would evolve to a viable native habitat. What I want is I want there to be either proof that it's going to be something that happens within a reasonable amount of time, or I want to guarantee from you that it's going to happen within a reasonable amount of time.
So how would we guarantee you that?
You would guarantee me by telling me exactly where the plants are going to be planted, how big they're going to get, and if they don't get that big, you're going to modify the conditions so that they do get that big, so that eventually there's a habitat of plants that takes over.
Yeah, I think for us to tell you exactly how big something's going to get is not realistic, Chris. I'm sorry, but that really just isn't. We looked at the sites for the trees. We drew those in. I went in. I've put flags down. Where exactly all the shrubs go, it will have to be working with the conditions that are there. It just
that's not. Then you need to map the conditions so well that you can say exactly where it'll be and show how many plants are going to be planted.
We told you exactly how many plants are going to be
not enough. Okay, I'll tell you right now, it's not enough.
Has there been given any thought to, given everything that's ongoing here and hearing some comments about just delaying this a little bit? I mean, we haven't even got, I think we're all kind of just still stuck on this area 1, never mind the area 2 and section 1 and 2 of area 3 here. And that you know, we're not saying that we're denying the project. You know, if you've been to conservation commissions in the past, you may hear that we straight out are not going to support the project and would deny the project. That's not what I'm hearing here. You know, we all want to work with you, but we need a little bit more to go on in the fact that we feel comfortable that this project is going to be a viable project. And everything has moved pretty fast so far. And I personally would like to see a little bit more, I'd like to see the plantings that have been done as far as phase 1 and phase 2 go a little bit further than what we're talking about here. And May 14th of 2020, we haven't even got through a full spring cycle of blooming yet. And then talk about that a little further. I personally would like to see a little bit more in area 1 as well. We're talking about removal of 10 to 15 of the black locust trees and planting them with the eastern red cedars that are, you know, 2 to 3 feet high, which don't really appear to be too big in my view. And by the time they get to grow and provide a little bit more wildlife habitat, would be 10, 15 years from now. So, you know, that's my position. And I would just like to see that a little more time for phase 1 and phase 2 to complete itself. And I don't think that's asking a lot. I know you want to get the project done, and I was not at the last meeting, and I did not, you know, for the record, the commission as a whole did not say, you know, go hire X individual person. We, you know, I would have never have done that. The commission doesn't do that. So, but we you know, we know that you went and did that, and I'm not saying disagreeing with Mr. Rivas. He agreed with the concept in general, but keep in mind when Chris talked about a diagram, we need a diagram of exactly what's going in place. We need a landscaping plan, and this is the diagram that we have. We have a narrative. You put together the diagram, which is, you know, it's a good diagram, and we can see exactly where things are laid out. But I would like to see a little bit more in there. I'd like to see a little bit more of growth, of larger size trees in there. And all the while, yes, taking into consideration the bank and what you can put in there. You know, this is not an easy site. It's not a flat land. If this was a flat lying area, we wouldn't be having these concerns about is it going to survive and is it going to make it through a few seasons here. So again, the trees in the front, they're thriving. They look amazing. The trees on the side, you know, they're coming together. I'd still like to see them a little bit more bloom on them and see how they come through. And I certainly would like to see a little bit more from phase 1 and phase 2 as far as how they survive, you know, going into the summer and going through at least a summer season before I personally felt more comfortable with starting to tackle area 1 and area 2. So, you know, I'll leave it at that. I don't know if I can't really open it up to the public here, but I will. I'll stop sharing my screen and go off of that. I don't see any additional questions that have come in from the public. Normally, we would open it up to the public.
Can we see what Jeff's opinion is? Because I was very much under the understanding that Steve's report is what stood in the way. I even have an email from Jeff to say that. So I really do not trust that this is enough. I think I'm being strung along, and every time I come in, something else is being found. And that's how I feel, and that's what's going on.
Well, I've just remind you that this is phase 3 of a project, and phase 1 of the project was approved. Phase 2 of the project was approved, and there was substantial amount of work within phase 1 and phase 2. And seeing this is a mitigation project, you're not being strung along. This is the 3rd or so hearing, and we're just getting into the details now about phase 3. So for the record, phase 1 and phase 2 have been approved by this commission over the past 9 months plus. But Jeff, do you have some comments you want to share? Anything here, Jeff?
Yeah, so I think to Am I on? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you can hear you.
So I think to address Chris's concern about whether they're committed to this or not, I think, that's a condition we can add to this. All plantings associated with this project must survive for 5 years or whatever. And, that's a 5-year guarantee that you're going to have the plants there. I mean, I'll be honest, I was kind of under the impression too that, when at the last meeting, there were a couple of people who were in favor of it and a couple of people who were on the fence about the project. And the suggestion was to have Steve Ives come out, give his professional opinion. And, that would be taken into more consideration than I think it is. I mean, Steve basically, applauds the project as is. He cites a lot of, improvements for the project. He doesn't believe that cutting the black locust will destabilize the bank. He believes that, so basically in his recommendations at the end is that, this is quoting from his report, all of the proposed improvements change the site in a number of ways, including removing invasive species, adding native species, providing native wildlife habitat, and ensuring slope stabilization. As Todd said, and Steve is very well respected in this field. He's been doing it for a number of decades, and I think Eric probably feels the same way about his expertise in this because Eric recommended that he do the report. So
let me talk about Steve. Had Steve not written this report as good as it is, I think I would have fiercely opposed this project right now. Steve has proven to me that this project, from an overall mechanical viewpoint, is within the scope of the wetland regulations, and we should at least not hold it back because of all the work being done and clear cutting and all the other things that I objected to at the last meeting. But we bring up another issue here. Having done that, that's good. All right. So I feel comfortable in moving ahead with the project. But we have the question of survivability. We have the question of letting phase 1 and phase 2 mature. And that's an issue that Steve never discussed, Jeff. Steve talked about wetland regulations, stabilization of bank, and getting rid of the black locust and how you're going to do it. He didn't talk about whether the planting we're doing is going to be enduring or not, whether we're going to have an ecological zone here of native species. I think what people are saying is that we should let this thing mature a bit more before we begin what I would call the third phase. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I think that's what we're looking at right now. Like I said, had Steve not done his report, I don't think I would have been in agreement to go to phase 3 at this stage. I'm signing off.
I'll second that. Reading the report by Steve Ives made me feel better about what has happened in phase 1 and 2. I again applaud the efforts, and I just need to feel more comfortable and waiting for it to grow. But I'm fine moving forward with phase 3, but not yet. I just need a bit more time on this. And I'm not saying no. I think it's fantastic that you got this report. It makes me feel more confident. I know there was some question on what you were doing if we agreed with it at the last meeting, and this just reinforced that no, you were accurate in what you wanted to do. Again, I need more time. I don't need to see a further planting plan, unlike Chris, but that's my
I was offering that option.
I just need more time.
So can I ask, so area 1 is not a very large area. It has 7 black locusts, right? Could we do in this spring that area? And then when we talk again, we can see that area too. And that could also show Chris all the plants that are there and how that would look. Maybe we learn more about how much should be in there. I am just really looking for a way to make some progress. It's a small area. There's 7 black locusts in area 1. We would put 1 oak down, the 4 red cedars. We would put in 3 northern bayberries, 30 to 50 bearberries, and 14 sweet ferns along the stairs. And I'm happy to even do more sweet ferns. I actually added some more on the other side too. And we do it. We ask you to approve that small area. And then I have my project that I can do and feel really good and making that improvement. And we can see after the summer how that took in comparison with the phase 2, which I believe is a very different area. We've also talked about how that area is different. We came from a bare area, where here now we are really going on that bank with the bittersweet, with the black locust. So is that something the commission could overcome?
I would be willing to support what you proposed, limited to area 1, as long as you completely planted it out.
Yeah, and then we can look at that.
I would like to see area 1 come October, all right? Exactly the way you want it, an evolving natural species ecosystem, as Chris was talking about, completely filled out with plants. And I'd like to see phase 1 and phase 2 very prosperous. At least then we would have the proof of the pudding at this stage, I think. But at least, then we would have a good example of what it is you and Todd are talking about in this rather limited size area 1, which is one of the easier areas to do the work in.
I appreciate that. One thing I do want to say, just to manage everybody's expectation, is bearberry takes a little time to take off. So, but we can put bigger ones in to start out with. But there's going to be some bearberries all the way in the top. They are a shrub that takes a little time to find its way, and then it takes off. So I don't want anyone disappointed at that. I can put reasonable sized ones in. But I would be extremely grateful if we could move ahead with that area. And we would do a tremendous job.
So let me just ask a question on that. As far as, and I'm solely talking about area 1 now. There's 1 oak tree, and I think you can. I've shared my screen here. There's 1 oak tree, and there are 4 eastern red cedars, or at least that's what we see in this diagram. What would be the size of that oak tree? I think it was 1 to 2 inches in caliper was the proposal. Todd, was that?
Yes. Yeah, that was the proposed size.
How big would you say that white oak is that's on the other side of the stairs, right about here? Caliper size of that one that's currently in there?
2 to 3.
2 to 3.
Yeah.
Do you think that you could get well, you said 1 to 2, easily a 2-inch caliper oak tree in there?
Easily, no, because it's at the bottom of the bank. Is there a spot down there that we could find to fit one in? I'd have to get down there and explore. There's actually a considerable amount of soil on the whole entire bank. There is a lot of riprap and rock, but I think it was pointed out, and I think it might be true, that when they did the reconstruction, they pushed a bunch of fill over the edge. So there is actually soil in there, believe it or not. It's just a lot of rocks too. So if we make little pockets, that's what we've been very successful doing. It's possible. It's just the size of the hole, and it's getting it down there. But it is possible. We moved the other one. We dug the other one up, right, and moved it to the bottom, and it's alive. So it's definitely possible.
And I think, that is, at least that's my concern as far as taking down the black locust and then realizing or having maybe coming to a situation where you say, we just can't get these oak trees in here because the bank is a lot of stone. There's not suitable soil in there. So now what's next? Because the black locusts are gone and we're left with much smaller shrubs, etc. So
There's enough space in area 1 where we could plant all of the trees, the cedars and the oaks and the bayberry, which are shrubs, but we could plant those without having to take down the black locust. It's just that once they were planted, then when we took down the black locust, then they could be falling on things and damaging things. We could scout out holes first, but that area is actually rather sparse. If it weren't for the bittersweet, there wouldn't be a lot there. The trees are not, the black locust are not that large, and the bittersweet is the predominant plant in that area, along with garlic mustard.
Would it make, Eric here, would it make any sense to you to seed the area with a coastal mixture of coastal grasses and things like that in between the eastern red cedars and the shrubs to hold the soil in place?
We could, but the soil is already full of garlic mustard seed and everything else that's down in there. So unless we were to add some clean soil, whatever we plant is just going to get, it's going to be a mix of native grass mix and a bunch of garlic mustard and whatever else comes up. There's all kinds of buckthorn and other things.
You're going to have to deal with the garlic mustard and seeds in any case, aren't you?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, that's why I prefer the cardboard and wood chips, because then I know that I'm smothering out the seed bank while stabilizing it with the wood chips. That's my preferred method for weed removal anywhere. It just works and it's super easy and you don't need any chemicals.
So how about these eastern red cedars? Personally, I think the ones on the other side, again, would like to see them thriving and growing. I know they're not going to grow 2, 3, 4 feet a year, but in your opinion, by looking at that bank, what would you feel that the biggest size of eastern red cedars that you could put in there? I think originally you said maybe a 2 to 3 gallon, but potentially a 5 gallon eastern red cedar.
Which is, so when you were out there, you saw the size of the cedar that were along the driveway. And then we also planted cedar on phase 2, which were a little bit shorter. They were probably 3 feet tall. And I think the ones that we planted along the drive were 6 feet tall.
Yeah. I would personally feel more comfortable with the size wise of the trees along the driveway.
I'm sure they're out there. Whether we can get those right now, I don't know of that size. Well, we'd have to look. They were around in the fall because it seems like it was like a hot time to plant those last year. I've been seeing lots of smaller ones, but I'm sure if we go far enough, we can get them.
So it sounds like we've got some initial comments here. Chris, you've had some comments. I'm certainly not willing to say, yeah, go ahead, do area 1, 2, and 3 here by any stretch of the imagination. I'm willing to entertain something about area 1, but that's just me personally. I don't know how others feel, and I'm still mulling that as we go about here. I don't know how others feel about about further discussing some potential work in area 1, all the while monitoring phase 1 and phase 2 and seeing that grow with potentially some minimal disturbance here in area 1 with some plantings and see how that thrives. And then, in my view, putting everything else on the back burner for some time. But let's kick that around at the very least and see if how others feel, because that seems like the direction that we may be going here. Any comments from the commission on that?
I would support your proposal, Jay, just because I'd like to see.
Well,
area
I'm not proposing that. I'm just throwing it out there as a
idea.
open.
I would like to amplify on your idea. That would give us a chance for Todd and the owner to do a proof of concept in Area 1. I'd like to see what comes out of that. And as you said before, that would give phase 1 and phase 2 a good summer's growth for us to see what's happening there. All right, so something like that, I think I could support.
I would support that, but I take back what I said earlier. I think I do need a planting plan for the next sections because I do need something to check back on and said what you did. So I take that part back.
So a planting plan on all areas or area 1?
So, I guess it would be area 2 and 3.
Yeah, I guess.
I want to see that.
If we
Right.
come back and talk again with a detailed planting plan for area 2 and 3, right?
Mhm.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm putting area 2 and 3 on the complete back burner for right now, and I'm solely just focusing in on area 1. And let me share my screen again. So we're talking about, everybody can see this?
I would support area 1, but for
Where-
checks and balances, area 2 and 3 do need some planting plan to exact number of plants and where they will be.
So again, these are the steps.
Where's the narrative into this?
Okay, that's fine. We can do that. I think I really like Eric's proof of concept. I think that's a fantastic idea because then it will give us the space to be able to do the planting so we can come up with the right number of plants for areas 2 and 3 when we get to those. So we'll know what it takes to fill it in as densely as you're looking for.
Chris, or James, any comments? Again, we're discussing, open for discussion, area 1 here with 1 white oak, and we can talk about sizes in a minute, and 4 eastern red cedars, and the various other shrubs and vegetation that was discussed that I'm not going to get into. That's all in the narrative.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add, Jay.
Okay.
Just that, whatever's done is done properly, because I know that, obviously this has been ongoing, and whatever they do should be a permanent solution so that we're not doing this again.
Right. Chris, any additional comments here or on this discussion point, or we're solely talking about area 1 with, and I guess I'll go back to the sizes of a white oak tree of 2 inches in diameter, and 4 eastern red cedars in this area of I would propose the 5-gallon trees that look like upwards of 6 feet that are planted along the western side of the property. And again, we would want this in writing as well, the exact sizes. But I think that sounds to me like it is what we're kicking around. And if I got that wrong by anybody, please chime in. What are your thoughts on that, Chris?
I'm trying to re-establish my thinking on this. There is an uncertainty in this process, in the reestablishing of a native plant habitat on this bank. And what I'm trying to arrive at is a level of certainty that makes me feel more comfortable than the invasive habitat which is currently there. And when when we agreed to phases 1 and 2, I think that's what we were looking to gain. And as far as I'm concerned, not enough time has passed to have gained that. So I'm almost beaten down to the point of just accepting all of this with a condition that a certain level of vegetation has to cover that slope for the next 20 years.
Well, I think
So-
we would all like to see that, but I can't fast forward 20 years. Not that I probably don't want to.
Well, I'm living for 19 of those. I'll check it every
In 20
year.
years, I'll be 93. You don't want me around then.
Eric will probably be dead by then.
Absolutely. Forget about coronavirus. I'll be dead of old age.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't. I just can't. I mean, I really think that it was kind of this kind of hard sell that had us agree to phase 1 and 2, and now it's just the next piece and the next piece. And I have no confidence that this is ever going to be more than a rock garden with native plants in it. And quite frankly, if you go to the other side of Straits Pond, it's not very attractive. It's not, I think if you go right up there, it's not very habitat friendly.
Mhm.
So I just don't know at what point it's ever going to be that. So
Well, keep in mind, just to feed upon that, we are all solely, if this project were to move forward, we're solely talking about Area 1, and I'm not even I can say right now that if this Area 1 area were to be approved, that I would not even be looking to even entertain Area 2 or Area 3 for another year from now. And at that point in time, I would, unless everything completely takes off and looks wonderful, I wouldn't even be willing to entertain those areas unless I saw a successful bank, successful growth, bank stability, wildlife habitat, and all the things thriving in the area. And I think that's all of our main concerns. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 3 months or even 6 months.
it's not going to happen here.
Well,
That's my contention, is it's not going to happen in a year. And now instead of 50% of the slope, we're at 60% of the slope. And I just, look, I would like nothing more than this to be a nice native habitat. I have no level of certainty that we're getting there.
But can I say one thing, Chris? The one thing we do know for certain is now it's a bank overgrown with invasive species. So
Welcome to Cohasset.
yeah, but that can't be how we approach our natural beauty in areas. We have to try. You can't just now Cohasset is just overgrown.
And that's what I just said. Give me a level of certainty that you can guarantee, and I'll jump on board.
I think the only level of certainty is going to be time itself. And just seeing how we're monitoring phase 1 and phase 2 now. And if any further work were to be approved, that would be monitored as well. And again, I'm saying right now, going on the record, I wouldn't even want to even entertain Area 2 or Area 3 of phase 3 for quite some time. That's all. I want to see a little bit more of what's happening.
How about we move to end this hearing and move that we approve that section 1, and with some conditions that it has to be fully planted, as we had discussed, with the plants that they have provided, and until that has happened, we won't consider looking at the other two sections.
I
Well,
would just add, Mary Ann, that we come back and visit in a year's time. 'Cause that, that's roughly what we're talking about.
Mhm.
Is you see where we stand 12 months from now, after we've gone through a full summer, fall, winter, and then a part of the spring, to see whether it's moving in the direction we would like it to move in, following up on what Chris was saying.
I'm in agreement with that.
But that means they have to get going very fast, because they have to get in and deal with the black locust right now, tomorrow, and
I
get the
think we're
planting and the
prepared to.
plants and the trees going in, assuming it cannot be done in July and August, or June, July, and August. They're gonna have to move fast.
I think they're waiting. They want to do it right now, as they're waiting before the like the invasives, like the garlic mustard has to. It's going to be
It's
blooming
ready.
soon, I think.
Garlic mustard is ready to be pulled.
Yeah, this is the time.
okay, so I'm gonna revise, add a little bit to that, to that, because I don't know if it's a formal motion, but I'm gonna add to that, unless there's any more discussion. Okay, I would like to entertain. I would like to make a motion, Jay Pampari, to approve the work being done as part of this RDA for Area 1 solely Area 1 of Phase 3 of this project in the diagram that we have on record here, to include the installation or the planting of the white oak be of 2-inch caliper diameter, and the 4 eastern red cedars be of 5-gallon size, or roughly 6 feet in height, and with all of the other plantings that, again, I'm not going to mention, that are explained in the narrative. In this motion to approve that is solely to look at Area 1 and not Area 2 or Area 3. It's Area 1 and Area 2, excuse me, Area 1 solely. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Is there a second by Marianne? Is there any further discussion? Okay, before going into any further discussion, there's a motion.
Jay, do you want to see if there's any participants who have any questions in the audience, or
I don't see.
Are they excluded?
No, well, I'm monitoring the Q&A, and I do not see Jeff's. You don't see anything. I don't see anything.
I was looking at attendees. There's some people there, John Cavanaro and other people. I don't know who they are, but I assume they're not part of this discussion.
Anyone is free to submit a question and answer or a comment. And again, we have not received any comments on this hearing to date, or throughout this hour plus that we've been on the call. So assume that nobody has a comment. So before I take a roll call vote on that, I just want to say that we are not even discussing Area 2 or Area 3. That is off the table. And if this were to be approved, I just want to say right now that I'm not looking to, personally, would not even entertain Area 2 or Area 3 for probably upwards of the springtime of next year. And we would evaluate Phase 1 and Phase 2 in this Area 1 at that time, before even entertaining more work being done in the area. Okay, so you heard the motion in the second. Jay Pampari in favor, yes, aye. Eric Eisenhower.
Aye.
Chris McFarland.
Nay.
Marianne Weatherald.
Aye.
James Rosebach.
Aye.
And Alex has recused himself, so that vote will pass 4 votes in favor, 1 vote against, and 1 abstention. So that vote passes 4-0-1. So Todd, Marika.
4-1-1, please.
4-1-1, I'm sorry. I would encourage you to work with Jeff on that. And Jeff, if we could actually, I should have made I'm going to revise that motion, because I want to make this a special, even though well, I did make the special condition. So that condition is of the size of the plantings. So that will go on record. Jeff, if you can record that.
We'll submit the planting plan with the sizes to Jeff before we proceed.
Right.
So you can see that that's what we're purchasing.
Right. And the approval was based on the conditions that I mentioned.
Yeah, the larger oak and the larger cedars.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Okay, this portion of the hearing is now closed. Good luck, everybody. Coordinate that with Jeff, and we'll move on to the next issue.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good night. Be safe.
Great night. Thanks for your time.
Okay, something came in the Q&A, but I don't know that that's a true Q&A. Anyway, moving along to our next item of business is an RDA originally scheduled for 7:30 is an RDA 19-16, stormwater permit 19-25, 31 Windy Hill Road. This is a continuance from March 26th, 2020. However, as you know, we didn't actually have a meeting on March 26, 2020. This is a continuance. Documentation was submitted at our last meeting, which I believe goes back to 2019. There were, this commission entertained this application. We heard it. There were some comments and there were some follow-ups to do on that. And Jeff, I'm going to turn it over to you briefly, if you don't mind, to put you on the spot here, to just bring us up to speed on the 3 of the 4 items that were requested as part of that. If you have that in front of you, I probably should have given you a little bit more notice. Looking at the plan that we have here, I know one of the things is that we were looking at we had requested a before and after diagram of some trees. We had also requested a full landscaping plan and a couple other things here. And I'm going to share my screen here with everybody to kind of give you a little of overview of what we're looking at. So this is 31 Windy Hill Road. And Jeff, if you just want to kind of bring us up to speed here on what we had requested and what was submitted.
Yeah, so this actually, the first time I heard this was last fall, and I can't actually remember the date, it was so long ago, but so at the time there really weren't a lot of questions as far as the actual stormwater went. What we were looking for was a confirmation of the 100-foot buffer zone, which I know Paul did, and I had gone out there myself and measured it. The 100-foot buffer zone's correct. And then there was, as you said, the question about the trees that had been removed or will be removed, that detail be a little more specific on the site plan. And then we were also looking for a landscaping plan once the house is constructed. Paul did submit all that information. He also did submit a small revision, which was the proposed building footprint has been revised to a front entrance garage. So there was a little bit of a change there. He resubmitted the wetlands stormwater calculations. And that's where we are now.
Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Paul. I see you're up with us on the screen. Paul Seberg, if you just kind of want to give us an overview. I've shared my screen with everybody. So hopefully you can see Jerusalem Road, Windy Hill, the driveway, and the landscaping plan. And Paul, I'll turn it over to you to give us an overview here of what was submitted. Is Paul on mute?
No, I unmuted him.
Paul, are you there? Hello?
Check the question and answer. Is that the, I'm calling you number.
He's calling in on a phone. It's right here, allow to talk. There you go.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, hi, Paul.
All right, perfect. Thanks, guys. Yeah, so Jeff had mentioned you guys had some concerns about showing the existing vegetation a little bit more clearly And I feel like we've done so. Basically, you can see that little hatched area in the middle of the plan there. It shows, and there's a little red meter going to it saying existing trees to be removed. So this is the area of vegetation that we'd like to remove here. And we're going to retain the vegetation that's to the northeast there, where that proposed tree line is. And as Jeff had mentioned, we provided a detailed landscape plan showing what the site's going to look like finished construction. We've also added some plantings along the easterly side along Jerusalem Road, within the 100-foot buffer zone as well, about 780 square feet or so. And you can see we have a planting schedule up in the northern part of that plan there, westerly part of that plan, as well as there's an existing tree inventory of the trees that were going to be removed that are basically, we went out and surveyed the site and we located every tree that was 6-inch caliber and greater. And that's what that existing tree inventory is up at the top of the plan there. I don't know if you can scroll up at all.
Yeah, everybody, I can scroll up a little bit if I zoom.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep, perfect. So this tree inventory basically covers the trees that we're going to remove in that area where the house is going to go and some grading is going to occur. Do you have any answer any questions you guys may have?
No, I do thank you for submitting the in-depth landscaping plan. I do see the existing tree inventory and the planting schedule, et cetera, and the other trees that have been submitted. I'll throw this back over to Jeff. Any comments on the revisions or issues, or want to point out anything, Jeff, that has been submitted as the resubmissions here on what we're looking at?
No, I mean, I really don't have much to add. The planting schedule looks is satisfactory. I can see that they want to have, the tree. Right now, it's a continuous, basically a field from that existing house down to the corner of Jerusalem and Windy Hill. So I can see why they want to put this row of trees as a barrier between the two properties. But no, I don't really have anything to add to it. I think I wasn't expecting the plantings down by the along Jerusalem Road. I think that's nice. It'll clean up that area, which is kind of a mess with a lot of dead trees and vegetation in there right now. So I think that's a plus.
Paul, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. Yep.
Hey, can you just describe a little bit without me getting my binoculars out here and blowing the screen up? Because everyone can see my screen, but I think you can internally blow it all up. So I'm not going to do that. But can you just describe the I don't know, maroon, red, purple, whatever color these are, green and yellow areas a little bit more in depth? I have read it, but if you could describe it a little bit more.
Yes. So I'm actually not too familiar with, I'm not a landscape architect, too familiar with the plantings, but maybe you guys are actually more familiar with them. But there's basically 3 different types of plantings in this area. Identified with these leaders. And if you go up to the planting schedule, you can actually see what they are. They're at the bottom of the planting schedule there, up in the top left-hand corner. And I can actually tell you what they are if you can scroll up.
Yep.
So yeah, so we have some sweet fern. Oh, sorry. Posing some sweet fern, St. John's wort, and Carolina rose.
Right. So
those are the 3 different types of plantings in that area.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump out a little bit here. So the easement that the easement that comes along here, it looks like obviously you've planted a row of trees along the way. Can you just describe those a little bit? So that this is an easement that's a driveway.
Yeah, so there's an easement. So easement for the driveway to the left of the property there. Yeah. And also an easement to access the lot that's out behind this lot. That's also an undeveloped lot here, out behind there.
Create a little bit of privacy along the back there.
Exactly. Yep. A little bit of buffer between the 2 lots.
Okay. Any comments from the commission on this?
I'd like to know just, so you're showing 12 trees as being removed, although you're showing an area of canopy, which is quite a bit larger than that. So I'm just wondering, is the 12 trees that are being shown to be removed, is that the trees over a certain size?
So you're talking about the tree line there is a little bit larger than the trees within it?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so basically when we do the tree line, it's basically any, also like low-lying shrubs, like, 4 feet high and that sort of thing. So
Yeah,
that's all within that area. But the main trees are basically the trees that we're showing individually within that area.
Okay, so there's only 12 trees over some given diameter, and that's the ones you're talking about.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'd say I think you did a decent job with the landscape plan, and certainly you clearly want to, and I would agree, want to create some privacy from the house behind and along the driveway. So in my view, it's you should be commended on the landscaping plan. Any other comments from the commission?
No.
All right, so I'm going to stop sharing here and jump around. So Jeff, on this one, this is an RDA and a stormwater permit. So what do we need for the RDA? Is this?
Wait, Jay, I'm sorry. I know it's not on the agenda, but I just want to point one thing out on the grading plan. So the site plan, page number 1 of 4.
Okay.
So the property line to the.
You want me to share my screen again?
Yeah.
If you could, that'd be great.
Yep.
So the west property line divides lot 31 from lot 32. I realize that these are, well, they may or may not be owned by the same people. What I did notice, though, is that the adjustment of contour 28 now lies approximately, 3 feet from the property line, and it's adding about a foot of fill in that area. So it seems to me that contours 26 and 28 should be pulled a little closer to this residence and not right on the neighbor's property.
Talking about up in here, Chris?
No, can you go to page 1?
Oh, jumping up. Hold on a minute. I've got, move your faces here. Up here? Hold on.
Next one, there. Can you slide over to where you can see the house?
Here?
Okay. Yeah, so if you go to the very, usually you can draw on this program, but I can't tonight. So if you go directly at the center of the house towards the back property line.
Okay.
You see right there, it's yes, right where you are.
Yep.
So it's contours 28 and 26. You can see 26 is very close to the property line, yet it's a foot above grade.
Yep.
So in fact, what it's doing, it's going, I don't know where that water's necessarily going to go to.
So we're actually cutting right there in that area.
It's going to go onto your neighbor's property is where that water is going to go to.
I think it's going to go the other way.
Right.
It's going to come down and towards the house.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it goes 28, 26, and then it comes, so it's sloping down.
Oh, sorry. So it's actually a cut situation. My mistake. I was reading it, but it's still a cut situation, pretty steep right there. So you might want to just pull those closer to the house, and there really should be some indication of a swale so that the water doesn't just pool against that retaining wall. It should move out. Right?
So can I just comment on that real quick?
Sure.
So we're sloping down, like you said there, from 30, 28 to 26 and to 24.5 to the top of the wall, and dropping down about 3 feet.
Oh, so your water's going to just spill over the wall.
Flow over the wall, correct. And it's a 3-to-1 slope, so it's not going to be too steep there. And then we have a swale at the base of the wall there on the low side that's bringing water around either side.
Okay.
For the house.
All right.
That has always been my problem with this area is Windy Hill has a lot of water flowing down its road. And I just want to be careful about that. So how are you adjusting this?
So when we do our stormwater calculations, we have to basically decrease the peak flows coming off the site and also the volumes. So we've submitted drainage calculations demonstrating that. All the roof runoff from the house is going into a subsurface infiltration system that's located in the front of the house there. And that's a good sized system there.
Right.
As well as the driveway is being directed to a kind of a crushed stone inlet and then directed to the subsurface drainage system. So the majority of the driveway in the house, in the entire house, is actually going to that subsurface drainage system, and we're actually reducing the amount of flows going to Windy Hill Road.
Yeah.
But there's still going to be a fair amount
drain.
that ends up in that inlet.
There's only one drain at the bottom of Windy Hill that captures all that, like a storm drain. So I just want to make sure that you capture all your water. So can there be another system placed higher up behind the house? I think we had talked about that at one point, even though I know the front is a large system.
So basically, if we review the stormwater calculations, existing conditions, we look at what's flowing down currently to that catch basin on Windy Hill Road.
Understood.
Then we look at it post-construction the same way. And basically, we've demonstrated with the drainage calculations that we're actually reducing the amount of runoff that's coming to Windy Hill Road. So it's a reduction with post-construction. So I don't see that system in the back would be necessary.
Well, it's not necessary. It's
What
just
is your reduction?
desire.
Can you remind us what is before and after?
Yep, we should have pull up the drainage report here.
I know we'd kick this around in the fall. I think that while Paul's looking up those numbers, I'm not dismissing the comments. They're certainly the good comments. The commission did not request any further. Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong here. The issues with respect to the actual stormwater calculations, etc., were not raised. We did bring this issue up, and the commission did ask for some. It was really our comments were geared towards landscaping, etc. And some other issues, not so much towards the stormwater, not that we can't kick it around now, but again, our comments when we had the moving this along were more related to the tree removal, etc., and planting plans.
Well, that's understood, but
Yeah, that's understood.
new
But you still have the
new
same
hearing.
concern. It still
So
has.
I have the numbers.
Sorry.
I have the. Sorry.
Okay, sorry, let me just jump in for a second here. So, yes, Jay, that's correct. The minimum standards for the receiving a stormwater permit is that they maintain the rates and volume of water coming off the property, which they've demonstrated through their HydroCAD calculations. I mean,
Yeah, we understand that the
right. Well, okay, let me finish this.
Hold on. Yeah, let him finish.
We don't have a right to insist that they make any more improvements beyond the minimum standard.
Understood.
Yes. Right. Okay. So is that what you were asking me, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all get that. So I do appreciate that. I'm looking at the plan. It looks like a decent size of an infiltration system here. I know it's certainly an area that we all look at. I didn't have any, I hadn't really looked at it all over again because I wasn't really looking at the stormwater calculations, etc. I looked at that when we had first kicked this around and back in the fall, and I don't remember having any major concerns then. Not that we can't talk about it now, but I didn't feel that there were needed to be any more necessary controls in place, and I think at least I was more focused on the plantings. So I do see the infiltration system, which is almost the entire size of the house in length. There's a crushed stone inlet here, which will capture water coming off the driveway. And again, all the roof drains will infiltrate through the system here. There's some sloping along the back here. The rock wall is certainly going to catch, and all those plantings will catch anything before it ever would go on to Jerusalem Road. So, personally, that's not really a concern. I guess any concern would be over in this area. And that's kind of how I look at it.
I'd just like to clarify something. I don't think the comments that either myself, and I won't speak for Mary Ann, but Mary Ann made similar comments. I don't think anything we were saying was suggestive that this committee was requiring additional efforts on the part of the applicant. But we do, as a commission, try to make for the best situation, and there are some very simple things like small depressions, rain gardens that could actually contribute somewhat. And for any commissioner to bring that up, I don't think that's in contradiction to what the commission stands for. So I just want to, and I just want you to hear that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm not. I'm going to jump down to.
Can we
what
get
is,
it shared what the reduction is from the pre-construction to the post? So I am well informed, please.
Sure, I have those numbers here if you guys are ready. So we look at the 2-year storm going down to Windy Hill Road. Existing conditions before construction, we have 0.99 CFS. Post-construction to Windy Hill Road in the 2-year storm, we're reducing it to 0.95 CFS. In the 10-year storm, existing 1.55 CFS. Post-construction, 10-year storm, 1.51 CFS. 25-year storm, currently 1.94 CFS, and we're reducing it to 1.91 CFS. The 100-year storm is 2.55 CFS. We're reducing it to 2.52 CFS. These flows are pretty minimal flows existing, so the reductions also in a small scale as well. But it is a reduction.
Thank you.
small reduction, but it is a reduction.
Yeah, it's not a big.
Right.
Minimal reduction.
Perhaps can we suggest a rain garden to further increase the post-development reduction?
I'd have to discuss it with, I don't know if the applicant's here right now, but I mean, I don't see why we couldn't get a small rain garden to the left of the garage at the bottom of that swale. I mean, it's pretty, little depression there.
This area here?
Yeah, basically a little bit higher up, right where those trees are currently, or yeah, probably right in that area. You know, I'd have to talk that over with the applicant, but you know, it's not that big of a.
I mean, I think if you're talking, you know, what we've also seen is just a little trench drain at the end of the driveway that would capture something coming off the driveway.
Yeah, I was trying to do that. The issue is the elevations to try to get that to the infiltration system just don't work out because it's too low.
Right.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of why we left it the way it is.
Could you bring it over to the other side there? I know you could never bring it uphill, but just so it didn't sheet flow.
Yeah, we could do it.
Just to, then you bring it over here, which would so that would capture kind of the sheet flow off the driveway and potentially going on to Windy Hill Road, and then capture it and throw it over into this area here.
What if we extended that? Well, Yeah, we could carry that crushed stone driveway further down on the right-hand side and then kind of outlet it towards the plantings along the retaining wall on Jerusalem Road there, possibly.
I'm sorry. Trying to do this. I know you can do it on your own.
The driveway
Yeah.
is crushed stone.
What
The driveway is crushed stone. Is that what you said?
No, the driveway is not crushed stone, but there's a crushed stone inlet along the right-hand side of the driveway and where that turnaround is.
over here, right, there's a crushed stone, right. Let me jump back up. I apologize for going all over the screen here, but I did see that on the other drawing, so correct. Right here, there's the crushed stone inlet.
Yeah.
Right.
If you carry that crushed stone inlet down and even across, then, well, not around, and then what we've seen is just the steel drain, and then dumping that over there. That would capture any of the sheet flow going off into Windy Hill.
Yeah, we could do something like that. That's kind of close to what we had originally designed in the previous version, with the driveway coming in to the other side.
The commissioners understand that?
Mhm.
Yep.
Just extending that down and capturing sheet flow coming over the driveway?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here so I come back. I don't see any I don't see any questions from the audience.
No.
Okay. Any further comment on this?
I'd like to ask a question, please.
Sure.
On page 3, sorry that you just had it up, but
I can go back again.
okay. And right at the top where it says,
I have to move all of your faces to go over to the side here. Sorry, I don't know if you can see your.
We can see it.
Where are you?
page 3, sheet 3, that has the trees and we were just talking about it.
Yes.
Yes, right there. And right at the top, it says existing tree inventory, and then it lists 12 trees to be removed.
Yeah.
And my question is, have those been removed yet? And if not, where are they being removed from?
So they haven't been removed yet. And if you can see this basically in the same sheet there, where it says existing trees to be cleared, there's a red meter going down to an area that's kind of hatched with this diagonal hatching.
This right here, yes.
Yep. So you can see that diagonal hatching within that area of the existing tree line.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some trees symbols there scattered about. You can see those within that area.
And so those have not been removed yet?
No.
Because I was on the property today and there were I have 14 or 16 trees that were cut throughout the property. So I was wondering if those were the ones that have already been cut. So there are going to be 12 more.
Correct. So there was some larger trees that were removed a couple of years ago that are shown in red here.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there was some trees out in the back that are actually on the northern side of that property line that I think were cleared as well a while back, but that's all to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah, and not even a while back, like within this past year.
What are the size of the trees? And I don't want to.
Big.
The 3-inch caliper, the red maples that are some of the larger trees that are going back in here. These the larger trees. They're 3-inch caliper trees.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That are. I'm just going to move my screen. I apologize for keep moving the screen over here, everybody, but seems to be the only way to do it. So we're talking about here, in the front, and then in the front down by the road. Some of the larger trees. Looks like about 5 of them.
Yep.
Okay. And then various other trees and shrubs along that area as well. Okay. Any further comments, questions?
No.
It's a good point, though, Kathleen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I know there has been some clearing that was done out there about a year plus or so ago, and Jeff and I did look at that. Jeff, if you remember, trying to determine whether or not that would have triggered a stormwater permit. I don't believe, obviously, it would have triggered a stormwater permit. We certainly, don't like to see where people go out and cut down 3, 4, 5 trees and then let it sit for 6 or 8 months and then come back and put a plan together and don't identify those trees because they've already been cut down. It's really not good practice to do that. And so we discouraged that, and I can tell you it did not go unnoticed out there whatsoever. Everybody in the world walks down that road or drives down that road or takes their bike down that road. So none of the cutting that went on in the past has gone unnoticed in this town. Jeff, anything further on that? All right, any further comment?
Just Jeff, you confirmed that the property is outside the 100-foot. Is that right?
No, so the reason that they're also filing an RDA is because there's a small amount of work down along the road, which is in the 100-foot buffer zone. 95% of this work is outside the 100-foot buffer zone, but there is along the very edge of Jerusalem Road that's in the 100-foot to the pond. That's why they're following the RDA as well.
Okay.
Right, and then I could probably screen up, but I'll save the trouble. The 100-foot buffer kind of comes in along this line, just touches upon the property, but obviously Jerusalem Road crosses, and then you have some vegetation, and then you have Straits Pond way over here. So as Jeff mentioned, there was a little bit of work in the 100, so the filing of the RDA, but no heavy construction as far as structures, etc. goes. Just this minimal vegetation along the front there.
So it's clearing of vegetation, some of the brush. Is that what we expect?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then so I believe these plantings are all in or fairly close. Let me jump up and again apologize. Maybe this diagram actually has the 100-foot buffer on there.
It does. Right there.
Where is
Yeah,
there?
so it's that dashed line. Yep.
It's the
Dashed line with 2 dots.
dot.
The dotted line?
It goes
Broken
dot,
line?
dot, dot.
Dot, dot.
Oh, okay, I see it. Okay. So minimum work in there, just clearing brush, scrub. That's all we expect.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, any further comment?
The stone wall out, the existing stone wall is to remain, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Who owns the stone wall? Is that the town or who maintains that?
I'm not sure who maintains it, but it is a portion of it. Majority of it is actually located on the applicant's property until it gets down to the corner of Windy Hill Road and Jerusalem Road there.
Mm-hmm.
So will you be doing any maintenance work to it or mason work?
No plans to do anything to the wall.
If there's any damage, will you be looking at that? Sometimes.
It's a beautiful wall. I would hope that you would not, and God only knows how old that wall is, like most of Jerusalem Road along that area. I would hope that you would try and at all costs not disturb that wall at all.
Right. Jerusalem Road is a scenic road marked in Cohasset. And even if that wall is owned by the homeowner, I'm sure it might classify as part of the scenic road law.
Well noted.
And being within the 100-foot buffer,
Yeah.
we would have jurisdiction to say it needs to stay.
Okay, any further comment? I think, Jeff, we need an RDA on this, correct?
Yeah, so that'd be a -3 RDA.
And a stormwater permit?
Yes.
I am not hearing any special conditions on this. Do we have any special conditions?
I would recommend a rain
Oh,
garden
yeah.
on the corner near the proposed garage.
Good.
And to extend the proposed crushed stone further down toward Windy Hill Road.
Anybody want to comment on that? We did discuss that, so I apologize.
No, good idea.
Does that factor in with our -3 determination, Jeff? Because now we have a special condition. Although the work is that at work outside the 100?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so it would just be conditions under the stormwater permit. That's a good point.
All right. So hold on, Marianne. Jay Pampire would like to make a motion to issue a -3 determination on the RDA at 31 Windy Hill Road.
Second.
Having heard a motion by Chris McFarland, second by Chris McFarland, we'll do this by roll call vote. Jay Pampare, aye. Eric Eisenhower?
Aye.
James Roseback?
Aye.
Chris McFarland?
Aye.
Marianne Weatherald?
Aye.
Alex Coyne, is she still with us?
Yes, aye.
Okay, that vote passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 0. Okay, Marianne, do you want to make a motion to with the stormwater permit with the 2 special conditions added to that?
Yes, I make a motion to add to.
Approve the stormwater permit with special conditions.
I make a motion to approve the stormwater permit with these 2 special conditions of the proposed crushed stone to reach toward Windy Hill Road and to add a rain garden close to the proposed garage and easement.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Can I just put a time frame on that, on when the plan would need to be submitted by? Paul, how long do you think it would take to put that plan together?
I could probably have it to you the beginning of next week, if that's okay.
Yeah, how about how about by next Friday, 5/22?
Perfect.
Week from tomorrow. Okay.
Sounds
So just wanted to amend that motion to put in a time frame that those conditions be included in the revised plan submitted to the Concom office by noon time on May 22nd. All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Jay Pampari, aye. Marianne Weatherald.
Aye.
Eric Eisenhower.
Aye.
James Roseback.
Aye.
Chris McFarland.
Aye.
Alex Coyne.
Aye.
That vote passes 6 to 0. Excellent. All right. Thank you, Paul. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Too. Have a good night.
Okay.
I think James should pay his. Are you paying your electricity bill, James? It's awful dark over at your house.
I'm sitting in the truck.
What are you sitting in the truck for?
Because I can hear better.
Peace and quiet.
Don't ask.
You forgot to put in an installation.
Hey, we have some attendees, which I'm not sure why they're here. You might want to just address it.
No, this is a public meeting, so people, when we still have some items to go. The attendees, if anybody wants to make a public comment at any point in time, there's a Q&A. They can certainly hit the Q&A and submit a question, but this is a public meeting, and people are
Okay.
more than willing to sit in here and sit back and listen and watch and take notes and whatever they feel free to do. We're acting, again, this is a public meeting, so attendees, if you have any questions, feel free to chime in. Otherwise, stay on the line until we, or do whatever you want to do till we end the meeting.
We're the big act in town tonight.
Yeah. We're moving forward so that we can actually get this meeting over with. Moving on to originally scheduled at 7:40 is the conservation agent report. And I know, Jeff, you want to talk about the electronic remote signature discussion before we get to the certificates of completion, because in this day and age that we're in, we have to talk about how we're going to sign any order of conditions, stormwater permit, etc. So with that, Jeff, I know we talked to Kara, you talked to Karis and have an update. And so shoot, please give us the update.
Okay, so basically, since we're no longer passing around papers after the votes for signatures, there's got to be a way to get signatures on these papers. So when they get recorded, they'll be accepted at the registry. So what I originally thought was going to happen was that we were going to do electronic signatures from each commissioner, but so I reached out to Karis North, who is our counsel, and she actually gave me a form for the commission to vote on, which would give me the authority to sign the form on the commission's behalf. And it would only be forms that the commission voted on. So, if you voted to issue an enforcement order, I could sign that on the behalf of the commission. You voted to issue the RDA, I can sign that on the behalf of the commission. So back in May, the governor made some modifications to the open meeting law because of all this. We're no longer in the same room together. And one of those was changed to the open meeting law, and then this whole thing with the signatures. So what I have is a motion that I'm going to propose, and I'll read it.
So I can read that, Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah, but let me know when you're ready. Go ahead.
So basically, that was all I was gonna end with was read the motion, and then have the commission vote whether to approve it or not. So again, this is only allowing me the authority to sign papers on behalf of all of you. And this is only until the COVID-19 emergency is lifted.
So Jeff, why don't you, I'll move the motion along so that procedurally here that you won't be making the motion, but if you want to read into the record here exactly what we're talking about, the vote authorizing the electronic signature of the Cohasset Conservation Commission, etc. If you want to just read the motion, and then I'll move it along if you're okay with that. But anybody have any questions with that?
No.
Okay, great. Go ahead, Jeff, if you don't mind.
Yep, so it is a little lengthy and wordy, but so the motion actually reads, the Cohasset Conservation Commission recognizes and accepts the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 110G, regarding electronic signatures, and commission members will henceforth execute documents either with electronic signature or with wet ink signatures that both will carry the same legal weight and effect. Further, the Commission authorizes the Conservation Commission agent to electronically sign Commission documents on behalf of individual Commission members. Commission documents are defined as only those documents which the Commission voted to issue and sign at a public meeting, so long as the order referenced above remains in force and effect.
So moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mary Ann. Angela, we can certainly get you that language and email it to you. So don't worry about trying to repeat that. Anyway, having a motion and a second. By roll call vote, Jay Pimpare, aye. Marianne Weatherald,
Aye.
Eric Eisenhower,
Aye.
James Roseback,
Aye.
Chris McFarland,
Aye.
Alex Cornes.
Aye.
Great, that vote passes 6-0. So we will, Jeff, can you just email that over to Carol and take care of all that from the language that we were provided there?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
So continuing on with the agent update, we have some certificates we need to, I guess we're going to vote on. Typically, well, Jeff, I'll let you run with this. You know what to say.
Yeah, so normally when we issue certificates of compliance to close out an open permit, the regulations don't say that it requires a hearing, and it also doesn't say that it requires a vote. So basically, as you all know, in the past, if I had a certificate of compliance or completion that needed to be signed, I would just give a quick gist of the project and let you know that it was completed, and then you would sign the form. But since the new electronic signature that I can do on your behalf states that it requires a vote, so now you will have to vote whether to issue the certificate of compliance or not. So that's why we discussed that first. So I have 3 certificates of compliance for signatures, and I'll start with the one that's a little more complex, which is the Sandy Beach Association. So they have an open order of conditions that goes back to 2005 for their annual beach cleanup. And basically the annual beach cleanup consists of replacing all the sand that's blown onto the road in the parking lot, putting that back onto the beach, grading it out. They do some raking to remove any large rocks or whatever that's actually worked its way up onto the beach during the winter. So I was originally thinking that we would want to have a new certificate, a new order of conditions issued, but then I talked to Greg DeCease, our DEP. His suggestion was that we can still regulate the annual cleanup with continuing conditions. So, and actually our regulations say that that can be done, and it actually specifies or it actually cites ongoing maintenance projects as a perfect example of why you would do that. So in issuing the certificate of compliance for the Sandy Beach, they would still be required to install seasonal fence, a dune fence. Or I can just read it for you if you want. So it's, I think, 8 conditions. So they need to install seasonal dune fencing in the upper back beach each fall, remove it in the spring. That talks about some replacing the sand, cleaning the beach, letting the commission know a week in advance before they do any cleanup activities.
Jeff, how long would this go on for now? How long would it be valid for?
So it would be valid until they stop the activity. So, I mean, Sandy Beach is going to be there for, well, for, I guess, some finite amount of time, but yeah, until it's still used, for, recreation, they'll be doing this every spring. So it would basically go on in perpetuity. And they've been actually supplying this information every spring anyhow. They write me a letter and let me know when they're going to go out and begin the work anyhow.
So it basically, it allows them to continue to do the spring cleanup year after year without having to come in and file a permit, et cetera, and going through hearings, et cetera.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Any comment on that?
No, I support that.
Yep. So Jeff, they'll let you know when the work is going to get started, or if there's any deviation for any major ongoing work. I know in the past couple of years there's been some a little bit more work only as a result of the dredging of the harbor, but you know, I support it as well. And certainly we need the beach cleanup, etc. But they would alert you if there was going to be anything major or anything more than that.
Yes, and any work beyond what's approved in the order of conditions for the annual beach cleanup would require a new permit.
Okay. Yeah. Totally supported. Any comments? Any questions? All right. So Jeff, we're gonna need a vote on this, right?
Yes.
So Jay Pampire would like to make a motion to allow Jeff Summers, our conservation agent, to sign on behalf of the commission the certificate of completion for NOI 0506-353 Atlantic Ave, the Sandy Beach Association.
Jeff, is that the way it should be, that the vote is to allow you to sign, or is it the vote once we take a vote for allowing them to?
Yeah. Really, the vote would be to issue the certificate. Yeah. Me signing the form will now be I'm out of course now.
Once we take the vote.
Right.
Yeah.
So there was a vote. Did I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Eric Eisenhower. By roll call, all those in favor: Jay Pampari, aye. Mary Ann Weatherald,
Aye.
Eric Eisenhower,
Aye.
James Roseback, you awake?
Aye.
Chris McFarland,
Aye.
Alex Cornez.
Aye.
That vote passes 6-0. Okay, we've got two more. Jeff, you want to talk about 17 Mohawk Way?
Yep. So this was a 2015 project for a new home. There's a new home, garage, pool. This was actually, I think they actually finished when I started working here maybe 4 years ago. I've been up there. Everything is where it should be in place. And there's no issues with this project.
Okay. Any comments on that? All right. Again, Jay Pampari, make a motion to allow Jeff Summers, our conservation agent, to sign the certificate on behalf of the commission for 17 Mohawk Way.
So Jay.
Yes.
I think the actual motion would be just to issue the certificate of compliance.
Okay, issue the certificate of compliance. Correction. Second. Okay, all those in favor: Jay Pampari, aye. Mary Ann Weatherald,
Aye.
Eric Eisenhower,
Aye.
James Roseback,
Aye.
Chris McFarland,
Aye.
Alex Cornez.
Aye.
All right, so that passes 6-0 again as well. And you have one more, Jeff. I don't know about this one.
Yeah,
I was surprised about this one.
pretty shady.
Keep showing up.
So anyhow, this was Mary Ann's project. It's from 2011. It was for
From what year?
2011.
Oh.
It says this says order of conditions was issued on 4/21/11. So it was for your patio extension project.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know when you guys finished that, but
Oh, I've moved since. So.
Yeah.
So the order
Quorum project
back in 2011.
Yeah, that's when it was issued.
Okay. All right, and all the work's been done.
Yes.
Okay.
They tore it up. Does that count? It's not there anymore.
I'm going on as Jeff has been out there and has looked at it, and Jeff is recommending a.
It's been torn up. How can he look at it?
It was done at one point in time, and now they're going to close
It
this.
was there. There
How
are
many
pictures.
square feet is it?
It was
Really?
low.
Marianne, you'll have to recuse yourself from or abstain from the vote here. Clearly.
I abstain.
FYI. So we'll do this by roll call. Jay Pampari will make a motion to approve the order or certificate of completion for 419 Jerusalem Road. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I heard a motion and a second by Eric Eisenhower. Jay Pampari voting aye. Marianne Weatherald?
Abstaining.
Eric Eisenhower?
Aye.
James Roseback?
Aye.
Chris McFarland?
Aye.
Alex Coinas.
Aye.
That vote passes 5-0 with one abstention. Okay, Jeff, anything else you want to update us on?
No, that was really the extent of what we needed to get done. Really, the signature thing was really the most important thing, so I can get some of this paperwork out.
Okay, great. Moving on to the next item, business originally scheduled for 7:50 is the chairman report. I don't really have a lot to provide back to you. I know that we've all we've been in somewhat communicate, although we haven't had a meeting here in quite some time. It's nice to see some faces and see your backgrounds, etc. Well, I started out as nice and light is clearly now dark in some areas of Cohasset. I'm not in Cohasset, so I don't know. But anyway, thanks for doing this virtually. It seems like for at least the next meetings that we have a meeting on the 28th, right? Yeah, the 28th. Will be done virtually, and I'm going to assume that meetings in June will also be done virtually. So this will be the way of the future. I know that there was a little bit of issues trying to get in today with the Zoom evite or invite, etc. So we'll work. I don't know, maybe some of the email may have got lost or didn't quite go through. So we'll try and iron that out earlier in the week than at 4:30 and 5:30 on the day of the meeting. If you do accept the meeting right away, it goes into your calendar. So if you accept it, it's no longer in your email. Remember that. At least I don't think it's in your email. You have to go to your calendar to pull it up. But everyone seems to have gotten in well this evening, so thank you for that. Again, I don't really have much more. I know there were some webinars. There was a webinar, I think it was Tuesday night. I tried to get on there or tried to go through the channels to get on there. I think if people have time, this is a good time to kind of catch up if you have the time on some conservation stuff. There was a fundamentals, I think it was 102 or 201 or something like that. You know, I think Jeff, I'll work with you a little bit about, I'll try and get some answers in Angela as well, as far as how we as commissioners can register for that without each one of us having to pay like the $60 or whatever it is.
That would be helpful.
Getting the username and password so that we can easily go on there and have, because the town will pay for all trainings.
Right.
And they're should be all archived, but it's great to listen to those webinars. And I know, you know, when I've said in a couple of them, it's been quite some time since I've done it now. But it would be great to kind of refresh the memory a little bit, and certainly with issues that we had talked about tonight with like coastal banks, etc., just getting some expert views and kind of, you know, what our regulatory authority is. And that's really what it comes down to. It's we're a regulatory body here in Cohasset, and just nice to get in on those webinars. So I don't have much more to say. I know we have if there are any questions to any of that. If there aren't, which hopefully they're not at 9:43 here. I thought this meeting was going to be over by like 7:45.
I gotta go down and get dinner.
I'm sure James.
I'm waiting for dinner.
I think everyone's gone to bed. I'm upstairs in like my ski house in like the back bedroom that I had to push away the cobwebs to get in because no one's used this room in forever. But
It looks to me like in a sauna bath.
yeah.
I
I gotta get the skis out here. Are there any 48-hour issues?
Just very quickly, I mentioned to Jeff on the phone that a friend suggested that we take a look at two properties on Nichols Road. One is the Corral House. The other is 107. Both seem to potentially be overstepping their bounds a little bit. I drove out to the Corral House today. They definitely did a bunch of blasting where the pool was, where they said they were going to just rebuild the pool, and that's certainly has deteriorated the the bank there. And then the other side of the driveway where the old garage was, they did a lot of blasting there. I don't know whether or not any of that sits within our jurisdiction or not, but it's worth taking a look at. The other address was 107 Nichols. And you can't see anything from the road, so I didn't look at that one.
You can't see anything from Corral's house either, but you went down in there.
Well, because no one was home to yell at me.
Yeah.
You can see their property from, I think it's Gannett Road. If you drive down there, you can look across at it, and it does look cleared, heavily cleared.
So, Jeff, are you taking note of these two sites?
Yes. So yeah, Chris gave me a call earlier this afternoon. Told me about those. So
Okay.
I'll go down and take a look and see what they're doing.
Okay. And I know obviously you're at town hall now.
Yes.
Don't drive over there tonight.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to go there tonight.
Yeah. But I talked to Jeff. It seems like almost every day for the past couple weeks now. Jeff's been spending a lot of time at town hall, off and on here. So if you have any issues with respect to or site visits, etc., just give Jeff a call. I know Angela, you're still here. Hopefully you're still awake. Has been responding to the emails, etc. So thank you for all of your support at town hall.
Thank you.
While all this is ongoing.
Definitely.
Yeah, keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks. We're just here twice a week. They want us to come in twice a week.
Yeah.
So at a minimum. So we're here like 2 or 3 times a
Do you have
week.
any problems if we call you on your mobile, Jim?
No, not at all. No.
Oh, okay.
I feel like this is a time where a lot of people would deviate and cross the line because this kind of government is in a way quiet right now. So
Right.
I've just been kind of looking around a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to reach out and, Jeff to Jeff or email, phone call. I think you all have a cell phone if you have any questions, comments, concerns. And I agree with that statement there. Seems like there are a lot of people getting bored and doing a lot of home improvement projects along, me included.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anything else with 48-hour issues? And kind of an open floor, as long as it came up within 48 hours.
Trying to keep you all healthy. If any of you need face masks, I have quite a load here. So just let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
If you need them.
Appreciate that, Eric. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, if I'm not hearing anything further, great to see you all. Thought that we have another meeting on the 28th. Everything's been, I think most of it all has already been posted on the OneDrive. Continue to look at the OneDrive. I think we have 4, if not 5 hearings. I have not get into them in details, but feel free to look at them and do a site visit if you want. See you all in 2 weeks.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second,
Yep.
having heard a motion by Chris McFarland, second.
Aye.
Aye.
Dave Pimpari, aye. All
Good
of
night, everybody.
aye.
Good
That
night.
passes 6-0. Have a great night. Jeff, I think you just shut us off here.
Yep. I'll shut you off. Thanks,
All right.
everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Everybody.
Good
Bye.
point, James.